I like your idea there. When you talk about song and dance, you kind of say that in jest. And I used to work for an organization where we did a lot of that sort of fun stuff. And we put it to music. But the key to that is if you put it to some sort of music that is popular at the time, if they hear that music, hopefully they think about that concept again. So you're creating triggers. And when we think about building habits and we think about building skills, a lot of times it's based on the triggers, the learning triggers that we build in, right? So this is an important part of learning reinforcement as well. What's going to happen to trigger the working, or rather the long-term memory for a skill or for some sort of knowledge set? While we might laugh and we think, oh yeah, that's kind of fun, song and dance, but you know what? That could be a very important trigger when used in the right place. So Elizabeth, I see your hand as well.
Yes, and actually, Lillian set me up with her awesome glasses. Thank you, Lillian. And then you followed through. That's exactly what I was getting to, which was everybody gets super serious, everybody's stressed. Training ideally is not an additional stressor. I mean, there's different ways we can talk about how to make it stick, but to me, one way is the use of humor and engagement. So when I run projects, with clients or with multiple clients within a company, I always think of making learning campaigns. And sometimes I make it a formal campaign as part of the project plan that we do. But I am a huge fan of using humor, because not just humor, but just fun, or make it feel like this isn't out of my reach. Because if you create positive associations with that content, people are going to be more likely to be open to it in the future. And for the last client, I had to build a training team. So the company didn't even know us. And I introduced the team with a whole Star Trek theme. And by the end, and the first major audience we launched to were people who were basically going to end up being all of our IT technical SMEs. Star Trek original, by the way, in case anybody out there cares. But by the end, I didn't even do this. Someone in the audience picked up the Vulcan, greeting. And then they started chanting the thing that I taught. Like I just kept repeating the same kind of phraseology of like, when you work with us, this is how it's going to go down. And like months and even a year later, when we would finally encounter someone to work on a project with us, they'd be like, oh yeah, Vulcan. And I was like, boom, like it worked. And even if they didn't remember the exact little song kind of thing, they had a positive feeling about us. And I know that made working with them easier.
Right. Totally agree with that. I think a lot of times we get in our own way as L&D professionals, where we get super serious, we get super teachy with people. And what we do is we turn them off. We turn them off of the learning process. And I think, again, when we think about fun, we think about humor, we think about engagement. And there are going to be a lot of people who are listening to this who are going to say, well, yeah, but fun. It's like, yes, I get it. It's appropriate fun, appropriate humor, all of those things taken into consideration, where you have to understand your audience and understand your topic. But there are ways around it, because nowhere in any sort of specification, be it compliance or otherwise, when you look at the specification as to what needs to occur with this training class, I have yet to read a bullet point that says we need to make this as boring as possible. I don't see that out there. So then it turns around back to us. How can we make this engaging? And again, Elizabeth loved the Star Trek analogy. So it's that trigger, isn't it? Here's a trigger to help you think about the learning as it moves forward.